Yeah, good evening all. My role here tonight is to give you an overview of the Green Wattle Creek fire from its go to where we are today. The Green Wattle Creek fire started on the 26th of November following a passing of a fairly significant electrical storm, and it was detected in the morning of the 27th of November. Also, during the passage of the same storm, there was two other fires started, one called the Cowmung River Fire, which was directly to the west of it, and also the Pigs Fire, which was to the southwest of it and west of Urandry. And I'm sure most people here would know where the village of Urandry is. On the 27th of November, we inserted the remote area firefighting teams into the area where the fire was. It's not accessible by trucks or anything like that where it was, and also they had air support with them. During the passage of their time in there, of course, the weather did change significantly and the fire behaviour started to increase, and all of those remote area firefighters were taken out of the fireground for their own safety. During the third day, of course, we were able to put them in again, but the same thing did occur. We have this recurring thing of an afternoon, of course, when fire activity increases significantly. On the third day, there was a significant run of the large air tanker to try and prevent the fire moving towards the east. This was successful in slowing it down overnight. However, the next morning we found that the fire had taken a dive and was now heading towards the village of Urandry. For anyone that knows Urandry, of course, it's an historic village, and we certainly didn't want to see any major damage there. So there were plans put in place for a major backburn that went around the village of Urandry, and I think it was somewhere in the vicinity of 2.5 days before that was completed. I can proudly say on behalf of all the firefighters, etc., that did participate in that particular that activity, that the village of Urandry now stands unscathed. And I think it's a testament to the people that were working on it. During the next couple of days, of course, the fire started to advance towards Lake Bargo, and I'm sure everyone in your own mind's eye will picture where I'm at now. We're on the western side of Lake Bargo, and the fire advanced there, and through significant aerial support, that fire was slowed down, and other activities were commenced with backburning along the southern edge of the fire, along the road that runs from Lakesland across the scheduled waters of Lake Bargo and up towards the village of Urandry. In the meantime, of course, the Cowmung River Fire, which was west of the one, as I've already mentioned, started to increase in size, and there was no way that we could get any trucks or anything into that. We just had to let it go for the time being and slow it down as best we could with aerial attacks. The fire eventually started to move very, very close to Lake Bargo, and I think it was in the vicinity of 3 days. We tried desperately to ensure that the fire did not come across Lake Bargo, but unfortunately again the weather was against us and a spot landed over just to the north of Natai. It landed actually during the late afternoon, and until light had gone throughout the day, crews supported by aerial appliances, etc., worked on that fire to try and maintain its position. The next morning, of course, again, weather being against us, ground crews did go in there, but the fire went up the escarpment to the west, I think it was, to the north of the Wallandilly Washery, which most of you may know, and it started to take a run on the northern side of Barragarang Road towards Oakdale. What happened over the next 2 days, I'm sure most of you are aware of, and that is it took that run towards Stevie's Forest Road and then north of New Jerusalem Road in Oakdale, and headed up towards Silverdale Road. The crews worked tirelessly through the night to contain that fire as best they could, it did not cross Silverdale Road on that occasion. One of the things that's significant in this particular fire, and I'll make a comment about it in a moment, is that that fire was crowning at 3 o'clock in the morning. And for most of the firefighters who just put their hand up would know that that's usually quite rare. The next day, of course, again, westerly winds, high temperatures, low humidity, and towards the afternoon the fire broke its containment again, headed across Silverdale Road and impacted on properties in the Orangeville and Warumbi area. It wasn't until late in the afternoon when the weather moderated somewhat before the fire progress could be arrested, and it was pulled up before it went towards Teresa Park. I have no doubt that the people that were affected by that fire understand now the dynamics of it, in how large it can get, how quickly it can spread, and how dangerous it can be. There have been a number of property losses in the area. Following that, there was a decision made, because the fire was tracking to the north and west of Silverdale Road, that something had to be done about Warragamba to protect that, and there was a strategic backburn put in, starting at Warragamba, heading south, but still west of Silverdale Road. That activity had taken probably 3 days before there was some significant areas now that would be safe to say that was going to protect Warragamba quite significantly. Following that, the fire started to move down to the south, and obviously it was heading towards or the western side of villages such as Lakesland and also Thornmere. The comment that I'd like to make, because as you can see, this fire at that stage of the game was well over a week and a half long, and I'd like to just make a comment that I don't think many people here will counter. There is not one person in this room tonight that has ever lived in the conditions that we are experiencing at the moment. Not only do we have the prolonged drought, but we also have absolutely no moisture in the ground. And a combination of the drought, the effect on the vegetation, and the absence of any moisture in the ground is a correlation between that and fire behaviour. Now, if you don't need, or if you need any more evidence of this, can I just take your mind back to August this year? The fires started in the northern part of New South Wales and today are still burning. The Gospers Mountain fire, which is north of the Hawkesbury River, stretches from Mangrove Mountain, if you can picture that again in your mind's eye, all the way up to nearly Mudgee, and is now burnt in the vicinity in excess of 300,000 hectares, is uncontained and is still burning. And there were reports the other day of it dropping into the Grose Valley. These conditions, by some firefighters' measures, have indicated that they've never ever seen fire conditions like we're experiencing at the moment. So that's why, at the moment, there is some difficulty in putting this fire out. The fire that we've got here now has grown to just over 155,000 hectares, and has a perimeter around it of over 700 kilometres. The efforts that have been put in by our firefighters, and we've had firefighters coming from just about every surrounding district around the Southern Highlands, including down at the coast and up north to the northern beaches, have been significant in the control of the fire. There was a decision made tactically that a backburn would be put in down on the western interface of all of the villages south of Oakdale. That commenced quite some days ago now, and I invite all of you, I know it's going to be difficult because of the crowd here, but I invite all of you not to leave here tonight until you've had a look at the maps that are out there on the wall that we've placed up, so that you can see exactly where the fire came from, exactly where the fire is as of today, and the tremendous work that's been done by all of our firefighters in regard to the backburning down there. This fire is uncontained and is likely to be uncontained for some time yet. So I just take you back to the conditions that we're under and what's happening elsewhere in the state. We have prepared some communities for the possibility of impact of fire. In fact, I was supposed to be at a meeting tonight with a village that's supposed to be impacted by fire tomorrow. But because this meeting was called, I'm here, and we had to speak to that community today. They are going to be impacted likely by fire tomorrow. Now, there has been also, with the strategic containment lines that have been put in, a mineral earth line that goes from Colo Vale all the way out to past Mount Warong. Now, just to give you a picture in your mind again of where we're at here, we're not in Wallandilly anymore. We are, of course, naturally in Wallandilly, but this fire now stretches through 4 LGAs. Not only is it in Wingecarribee now, it's in the Upper Lachlan, and it's in the Oberon Shire, and it's heading towards points north of there, and is likely to join up with the ruined castle fire from the Blue Mountains. You might be wondering what happened to the Cowmung River fire, and you might be wondering what happened to the Peaks fire. They've all combined. That's why we've got such a big fire ground here at the moment. What's my message to you? My message to you is the same as we've given everyone, is 5 points. 5 points I'd like you to go away from this meeting tonight and consider. The first one is, we want you to continue to monitor the fire. How can you do that? Everyone that has a smartphone should have Fires Near Me on it, because that will give you a very, very good indication of where the fire is, and will give you additional information if you like to look through the way it works, the app works, in regard to updates of what's going on. For those that are fairly new to Fires Near Me, I'll just give you a little bit of a plug that there was a recent update to that, or upgrade to that, and you can now set a watch zone up to 50 kilometres away from wherever you want to set it. So if you set it with Bargo in the middle and you put it for 50 kilometres, every fire that pops up will give you an alarm. The other one is that we've asked everyone, and we've done this through radio, we've done it through print media, we've asked everyone to monitor the Facebook page of RFS Southern Highlands team. The call has been taken by many because we've gone from 19,000 before this fire started to 33,000 people that are now watching us. And the feedback that we're getting and the questions that continually come in on there are being answered, and the feedback we're getting is very positive. The other source of information that you should be watching or going to is the New South Wales Rural Fire Service website, www.rfs.nsw.gov.au, and our fire is there in the major fire updates. And that on an average is updated twice a day depending on the activity, and that's where you should go. So that's point number one, continue to monitor the fire. Point number two is you should review your bushfire survival plan. Now, reviewing it doesn't mean you just have a look at it on the fridge or wherever you've got it. It means that you pull it down and you sit down with all of your family, and I mean all of your family, so that each and every one of your family knows what they should do if they're impacted by fire. If you don't have a bushfire survival plan, and it doesn't have to be the one that we give to you free of charge, it doesn't have to be that, it can be another form if you wish to, but the important thing is that every member of your family knows what they're going to do. I certainly hope that the families that were impacted by fire up the Orangeville and Warongah areas a week and a half ago had all of their plans in place, because they had to act very, very quickly. The third point I make to you is you need to be ready to act very, very quickly if the situation changes. And again, I refer to the people up north in those two villages north of Oakdale, that if they weren't ready to move, there could have been dire consequences. So make sure they're the three main points. The fourth point I want to make is that you really need to know what the fire danger rating is on a daily basis during the bushfire season. Why? Because the higher the bushfire danger rating, the more dangerous it is for you, the more active the fire is going to be, the quicker it's going to get bigger and the more dangerous it will become. Now, the Commissioner of the New South Wales Rural Fire Service has declared a total fire ban from today through to Saturday and all of Saturday. The fire danger rating for tomorrow is extreme. Extreme. Now that's one short of catastrophic. I don't care if it goes to catastrophic. It's bad enough when it gets to very high. Not so long ago we lost 84 homes in a fire that was burning in very high fire danger. So don't be fooled because it's over this side of the clock. You have to be aware on all of those sections, and the higher it gets, the more dangerous it becomes. On Saturday, I'll go Thursday first, tomorrow, I've already told you that it's going to be extreme and the conditions tomorrow will be as bad as they could be. We are expecting a change from the northwest. We're expecting a change from the northwest up to the very high 30s with very low humidity. Therefore, from that, of course, there will be expected to be at least an increase in fire activity. The fifth point is the emergency alerts that we send out to you. Now, I'm going to ask you again, if you've got any interest in how we do this, they are marked. We've marked them especially on two of the maps out there where the emergency alerts are. And I'm responsible for working with the incident controller as the public liaison officer to ensure that we have those mapped and we have trigger points. Now, I don't want to talk about any particular trigger point applicable to this fire, but what you need to know that there will be a trigger point before you get an alert. There's two actually. There's one when it's starting to move into and we're monitoring this all the time. It's when it comes into a particular point, and that's a trigger. And that may prompt us to send you an emergency alert. And that emergency alert, the message might be simply, there is a fire in your area, you need to know about it. As it comes to the second trigger point, you may and probably will get another emergency alert. And it will go something like this. If you've got an SMS, it will read. It will read. This is the New South Wales Rural Fire Service. There is a fire in your area and it is just about to impact on you. Now, it might not be exactly verbatim like that, but just take it from you that that's similar to what it will be. And there will be an instruction. And the instruction might say, if it's safe to leave, leave now. More dire than that, it might say, it is unsafe to leave now, take shelter. Or something similar to that. Excuse me.
Seems so silly now.
One for you, sir. Okay. Thank you very much. You led me in well. The emergency alert is very important because it's actually giving you an indication of what this fire is doing as it applies to you. I would imagine that there wouldn't be too many people in this room tonight that have not received something from the New South Wales Rural Fire Service in regard to an emergency alert. Okay, it doesn't matter the techniques of how we do it, but you have a look at the polygons up there and you'll see where we start the process and when it's decided that that message needs to go out, it will happen. We make it happen. How does it arrive at you? Two methods. The first one is SMS. Now, unfortunately, the SMS system, of course, feeds off the towers all around the place, and you could be visiting from Bullamakanka, and all of a sudden you're told to go and shelter in place. Unfortunately, that can't be worked out of the system. It's something that you have to bear with if you come from Bullamakanka, that is, and you would see that message come. But for you people that are living within the area, you will know, you shall know there's fire in the area, and there will be specific instructions what to do. The second method, of course, is by the landline. Now, I hear all the time about landline problems, and I'm not here to solve those tonight by any means, but with the NBN, etc., there are issues with landlines. But if you've got a landline that's working, it will go to your home, because in the polygon you'll be in this, your home will be picked up in the polygon, and the system will actually ring you 5 times. I don't mean 5 rings, 5 times. So if you don't answer the first time, it will ring again. And I understand that if you have an answering machine, it will leave the message on the answering machine, but if you're not at home, that's probably not too good. If you have a silent number, it will ring. That's how we do it. Now, the other thing that I wanted to tell you is about the fire danger ratings. Now, I went through that, didn't I? I'm going to now ask for Superintendent Greg Rankin to come up from Fire Rescue New South Wales to run through some operational aspects of the fire as it is today.
Thanks, David. You're probably wondering, we put our phones to silence. You're probably wondering what a person from Fire Rescue New South Wales is doing up here talking to you about a bushfire. I suppose I'll just give a quick background of where I came from. So I joined in 1987, so I've been here for 32 years. My first bushfire was in 1988, a year after I joined. Since then, I've had many opportunities, unfortunately, to go to a lot of bushfires, and quite recently spent 6 weeks in Canada working on the fires over there in British Columbia. At the time, it was the largest bushfires that British Columbia had ever seen, and topped the 1965 fires, which were then the biggest. To put that in perspective, where we're sitting now with the fires here, in 1994, which everyone would consider a very bad fire year, we had 810,000 hectares and numerous homes lost in that. We are now sitting for this season, and the other one was 2001, obviously, that was 1.1 million hectares. So across the state, we're sitting at 2.95 million hectares of fire, with 756 homes lost. We are definitely in, as David pointed out, uncharted territory. So by no means is the resourcing of all these fires to underestimate is a very difficult and very time-consuming thing, which we're all undertaking. I have been part of the incident management team from the 28th of November.